It's a beautiful Monday. Welcome to The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimle on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, government launches a national alternative employment and livelihood program. It will provide good economic livelihood options for illegal miners and also reverse the negative impact on our environment.
It is intended to provide good economic livelihood options to illegal mining and its associated activities, and to enable those adversely impacted the opportunity to work and support themselves and their families.
Details of the document and also have a conversation on whether this is the panacea to end the illegal mining in the country. Also this afternoon, effective Monday, November 1, 2021, all tricycles are banned from plying the Accra-Tema motorway. This afternoon, there is a big conversation on how tricycles also impact on the crashes on our roads and how the ban will help deal with this matter. Plus, Electoral Commission is this afternoon reviewing election 2020 and fallout. We are live at the EC headquarters for all the details. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Ignilu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. Remember, we're also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles at JoyNews on TV. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is @Danana Aisha. I'm super excited to host you.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to my Joy Online/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Many thanks for choosing us. Effective Monday, November 1, 2021, all tricycles are banned from plying the Accra-Tema motorway. The initiative forms part of government's Make Accra Work Again agenda. The Greater Accra Minister Henry Quartey, while announcing the partial ban, said tricycle users flouting the ban will be dealt with in accordance with the law. Under this ban, all impounded tricycles will be given up to a month to prove their case or risk their cycles confiscated. However, starting February 1, 2022, the activities of the tricycles will not be allowed on all principal streets within the region. The minister has also been announcing other regulations which will take off soon.
In as much as citizens have the right to own and ride motorcycles and tricycles, they must be done in accordance with the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180. Further to this, RESEC, in collaboration with the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, of the Ghana Police Service, the National Road Safety Authority, and the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, intends to rigorously enforce road traffic regulations in the metropolis through a joint task force, particularly in the area of crossing traffic lights when it turns red, riding without a license, the use of an unregistered motorbike, bicycle or tricycle, and riding without the appropriate gear. As I said earlier on, effective 1st November 2021, no motorized tricycle, and I repeat, no motorized tricycle, otherwise known as Aboboya, should ply the motorway. This is just for Aboboya. However, in line with the intended exercise, all motorized tricycles, in particular, motorcycle and tricycle riders, should keep away from all major highways and principal streets and restrict their operations to community riding by 1st February 2022. All owners of unregistered and uninsured motorcycles and tricycles shall have up to Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. Let me repeat. All owners of unregistered or uninsured motorcycles and tricycles shall have up to Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 to regularize their documentation. Non-compliance to this directive shall be the basis for legal action. Where motorcycles and tricycles remain unregistered, owners or riders must possess and provide valid customs/shipping documents.
Well, let's get a fair idea of how these tricycles affect us on the road with regards to road crashes. And if you look at the motorcycle crashes for 2021, January to September, number of motorcycles involved in accidents is 4,524. You look at the number of people injured with this motorcycles, and you have 3,553 from January to September. And persons killed by these tricycles is 912. That is the figure from January to September. Now, in September only, number of motorcycles involved in this road crashes is 429, and number of injuries stands at 356. These are the figures we are dealing with. In September only, 98 people were killed through these tricycles, and that is the conversation we'll be having this afternoon. Will this the ban on the tricycles, is it a panacea to resolving our issues? That's a conversation we're going to have this afternoon, and I am going to introduce my guest to you shortly, who will be joining that conversation soon. We'll be having from studio to Zoom and deal with all the angles that matter. Well, let's have a conversation now. And in the studio is Nana Ano Amehe, who is a road safety advocate, joining us, and also joining us via Zoom, because Nana Ano Amehe is already in the studio, seated here with me. Also via Zoom, joining the conversation is Cecil Garba. He's also a road safety consultant. I'll start with you, Nana Ano Amehe. Good to have you.
As always, good to see you.
Right, so let's deal with, let's look at the depth of the problem we're dealing with. The reason we've had to ban these tricycles from our major roads.
Well, let's start with, as an advocate, our concern is the legislative instrument, which is LI 2180 and regulations 128. If I may quote, regulations 128 specifically states that, let me refer to the regulations 128. Okay, with your permission, can I read it?
Go ahead.
Prohibition of use of motorcycle or tricycle for commercial purpose. 128, sub-regulation 1. The licensing authority shall not register a motorcycle or tricycle to carry a fare-paying passenger. Sub-regulations 2. A person shall not use or permit a motorcycle or tricycle over which that person exercises control to be used for commercial purposes, except for courier and delivery services.
Okay.
3. A person shall not ride on a motorcycle or tricycle as a fare-paying passenger. 4. A person who contravenes sub-regulation 1, 2, and 3 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 25 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment not more than 30 days or to both. Now, let me also go to regulations 84.
Okay.
These regulations are very, very instructive. Now, regulation
84.
84.
Okay.
84 says, compulsory wearing of protective clothing in respect of motorcycles.
Okay.
84 regulations, sub-regulation 1. A person shall not ride a pillion. A person shall not ride or be a pillion rider. A pillion rider is a passenger. Or on a motorcycle, motor tricycle, or a motor quadricycle.
Okay.
Or in the sidecar attached to a motorcycle, unless that person wears reflective clothing, and where I'm reading reflective clothing and a protective helmet. A, sub-regulation, regulation A, 1A. It's a special, that helmet that is specially designed for use in connection with the cycle, and sub-regulations B, fits properly with the chin, properly fastened under the chin, not just putting the helmet like calabash on your head.
Right.
A person riding whatever, it prescribes penalty for contravening the law.
Right.
Now, why am I quoting this to what the minister has just said? Is quite okay. We as advocates, we've been calling for that all the time.
Okay.
The motorway itself, it has its own rules and regulations how to use the motorway.
Yep.
The motorway as a high-speed access way does not allow mopeds, tricycles, and motorcycles below 100 cc.
Okay.
But what do you see on the motorway? We have these tricycles doing driving at a slow pace of, let's say, 20 kilometers an hour, which by itself, the level of service on motorway does not permit that.
Okay.
So what the minister is saying that, hence from when November 1st or whatever, it's neither here nor there. It's
Because
much ado about
already
the law is there,
Okay.
but
The
because of enforcement,
that's why we are
and let me
having
make
people.
this point. You see, in Ghana, when we had our first republic, Kojo Bosio was appointed as Minister for Education and Social Welfare. Now, our IGP is Inspector General of Police. There's no social welfare attached to his title, is it? But in Ghana, the reason I'm making this point, that in Ghana, the enforcement has become, with the police, it's selective. They decide, oh, no, this law here, we don't want to enforce it, because if you enforce it, it will take people's jobs away from them. And we are not here to take. But what is the police for? The police is there to enforce law. It's there to arrest people who breach the law. It doesn't matter who you are. But in Ghana here, it has become a trend that there are some people who are untouchable. One, because he's a rich person or he's a person of influence. So when the law, he breaches the law, he's untouchable. And then you have people who belong to trade unions and whatever, because they have voting powers. So when they break the law then says that no.
Oh. All right. So the MC for Ashaman has just joined us for this conversation. Nana, go ahead and make your point. The point about the laws not being enforced on our motorways and the reason why we are experiencing this. And so we really didn't need this ban to ensure that
let me also say something. In this country, we must put things in perspective. A minister does not bring executive instruments. You have laws who the executive, they manage the governance system of our country. The judges, they deal with what they deal with. And the police are there to enforce laws and arrest people who offend the law.
Okay.
But now, this law that has been left unenforced by the police, now what rights? I'm not a lawyer, but perhaps a colleague here may be a lawyer.
Okay. So
Does it lie in the mouth of the minister to come and say that from November 1st, you cannot have tricycles riding on the Tema motorway, but you can have trotters stopping on the motorway and soliciting for passengers.
All right, so let me bring in Cecil Garba. Albert Otri, is it Otri or Boachi? Okay, Albert Boachi Otri is MC for the Ashama municipality. He has also joined us for this conversation because you have more tricycles in your area, I believe. Right, so Cecil Garba is also a road safety consultant, and he's joined us. Cecil, I'm grateful for your time. Is the ban the panacea to our problems? I mean, to what extent will this help in dealing with road crashes?
Well, this is going to go a long way to help us because for me, they are quite a nuisance on the highway. The laws are there. Let us let it work, like my brother is saying. It shouldn't be that a certain group of people using the tricycles belong to a political party, so yes, they can go ahead. That is so wrong. The laws are there perfectly, and as such tricycles must not be permitted on the highways. I mean, finished. Let us try as much as possible to implement such laws so that you and I will be free. I mean, you are driving on the highway, and by the time you realize you cannot do you cannot move forward to do any overtaking because the tricycle is right in front of another vehicle. That alone is quite a nuisance and then may cause an accident. Secondly, what are they carrying? It's either pure water or even garbage. I mean, you look at what happens, and it's all spillovers all on the highways. I think we should get this law very straight, and I am really supporting the minister, the Greater Accra minister, for such purposes, because such vehicles must not apply on the highway. I mean, case closed. We must not look at it and say that, oh, yeah, because he belongs to party A, party B. Right, tricycles, by law, I mean, it's there, Regulation 128 of the LI 2180, that tricycles cannot be used on the highway. I mean, that is all. I don't see where all this discussions is going. I mean, it's an enforcement issue, and I'm always saying that Ghana's problem is an enforcement issue. If the laws are enforced, this country, like we've all seen just 3 days ago, someone was fooling with his Mercedes-Benz, he's apprehended. This is what we want to see throughout. It's really important that we should allow the laws of this country to work so that we'll all enjoy the stay in Ghana. I mean, I'm for it. And again, I think it should be extended to that of the motorcycles. The laws are there. Now, if you look at the motorway, the tricycles have taken over, and then mopeds who are not allowed to use the motorway are also there. Even the human beings must not be on the motorway. It's a real fact. So many things must be done in this country for the laws to work. People travel and they come to Ghana and they say, oh, Ghana is the nice country because you can just stay by the wall, peace, and nobody will arrest you. I mean, all this is quite a nuisance. Let us get the laws to work in this country.
All right, so thankfully the MC for Ashaman is also here with us. You have a lot of these in your constituency, and I know they won't take it kindly with you. You just heard Cecil Garba talk about enforcement. Nana Amehe also mentioned enforcement. I mean, what's the plan?
Thank you very much. I think I'll take this opportunity to extend regards to the regional minister who has stood behind all the assemblies in Greater Accra to enshrine this in our bylaws. Okay. And that has been done and gazetted. With the local authority, we need to enforce our bylaws. But these were not in the bylaws hitherto. That is why I think the call of the regional minister on this ban is just an emphasis of laws that are existing generally. But when you come to the assembly specifics, it wasn't in our bylaws. Okay. But now it is in the bylaws. Okay. It has been gazetted. And for that matter, we are going to ensure that people comply.
What are the details of the ban?
It is for the principal streets and then the motorway. In fact, it is a nuisance on the motorway. And they don't just create congestion they create filth. As mentioned by the earlier speaker, some of them use them to cut refuse. And on the way, they behave as if there is a fault with the tricycle. They leave it. And at the blind side of everybody, just push it along the motorway.
Okay.
And they have been assisted by people who have been living very close to the motorway. And we have taken a comprehensive action, an action by 7 districts that share the motorway. They have come together. We are clearing off all these people along the motorway, and then we ensure that these tricycles don't ply on the motorway.
What's the punishment if you are you default or you flout this law?
It is a count of. It is a count of. The legal people will say it as 10 counts of penalty counts.
Penalty units. Penalty units is even specified in
the law. Okay, so
and it is not in isolation with what the law specifies.
Okay, it's exactly what is in the Constitution that you've lifted and put in your bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you, I mean, you're going to have a tough time to actually ensure that this thing is enforced in your area. For instance, the people there will not take this kindly. How are you convincing them to actually accept this as the safest decision to take for all of us?
Yeah, indeed. As human beings, when issues come and they come in a form of laws, people find it difficult to even obey. But if it is something that everybody does, they easily swim into it. But I tell you, we are not going to sit down for people to use these tricycles on the principal streets. As for that one, because of that, we have given ourselves 2 months, clear months, to sensitize everybody. After all, those who are using them are human beings and we know them. We have identified the various stations where they operate. And today we identified 7 different bodies that are going to educate them on the bylaw. Maybe because it has not existed, we have not applied it within the municipality. But now that it is there, we are going to take it one by one. And I'm sure by the end of the 2 months, everybody will have no excuse but to obey.
Okay, Nana, so we've all agreed that indeed the problem exists. In fact, the law, the Constitution, or the LI that you've quoted for me has dealt with it specifically and even giving outline punishment for people who flout the rules. So definitely this is a repetition of what we already have in our books. But the enforcement has been the problem. Now that they've also adapted this into their bylaws, what are your expectations?
Yes, but you see, let me go back to buttress the point that Cecil was saying. You see, when you're driving, Cecil is what's it called?
Road safety consultant.
See, for a motorized vehicle to be on the public thoroughfare, there are rules and engagement. Okay. Now it says that for you to be able to ply the public thoroughfare on the road, single carriage, you should be able to see in front of you, see the side of you, and see the back of you at all times before you can go on the public thoroughfare. Okay. Now, I sent you some videos to Fred to be shown. Now you see these tricycles loaded to the brim, about 3 times the height of the loading capacity of the tricycle, and they will be on the motorway, which drivers are doing 150 kilometers an hour. I mean, I go on the motorway doing 100, but we see vehicles passing me as if I'm reversing on the motorway. Yet, they have created this thing that I don't know where they got it from. A human being sitting on the side of the as a co-pilot of the tricycle driver. And then as if he has a neck of an owl. Owl can turn 360 degrees, isn't it? But then you expect that this human being who is sitting on the side of the driver as a co-pilot will be able to check on the side whether he's changing lanes or whatever, there's a vehicle coming. A vehicle is doing 150 kilometers an hour for crying out loud. So the personal safety of those who are driving these tricycles. One, it says that you must wear a helmet. In the event that you capsize or anything happens, your head is protected. You must wear protective clothing. Are all these things being flouted? And nobody. The police sees them, they hobnob with them, and they don't do anything. So my interest in this is that it's for the safety aspect of what is going on. That's why I'm here and shouting my voice hoarse.
Okay. So the safety part, I think maybe I can put that to.
And then the other side is the health side. You see this bola that they're carrying, open bola.
Definitely.
That you see. Oh, you should have shown the video that I brought you.
Yes. If we have the video, please, director, let us see.
These human beings. Do you know where this bola is coming from? You have feces, you have all manner of things in there, and they are on top of them and picking them. They were knocked off the road and they were collecting them with their hands. And I said, my goodness, what has Ghana turned into? Have you become a banana republic? That because you want employment for people, and these vulnerable people, it's not their fault, they know nothing. And we expose them to danger, being on the motorway, being on the roads, now even saying that you're bringing them as a bylaw to restrict them on the whatever. What about the N1? The N1, they use the N1, come to my village, my area in Nzema. We have the Trans-African West African Highway. That you have vehicles that are going to La Côte d'Ivoire. It's a very high-speed roadway. You see these tricycles. I have a football team of young 12-year-old, 30-year-old.
In a tricycle?
On tricycle, loaded, 25 of them.
Goodness.
If you see it, you will cry. 25 of them laden as cargo. And then that tricycle can topple over. And if it topples over, what happened? That 25, at least on that busy high road, it will kill all of them. And then we come shedding crocodile tears. Oh, and then you see a minister going. So he is then stopped them from going on the Tamamoto way. Is he going to stop them from going to? But does he have executive power? See, the minister have no right. Though we support the action, but the minister, according to our laws, doesn't have any right to say that henceforth nobody can use the Tamamoto way. The laws are there already. The police have to enforce it. So he cannot. He doesn't like
the minister is only echoing.
No. See, you do the right thing. When you offend the law, don't you go to court? Isn't it a judge that?
But these laws have been there, and you have shown us the videos that shows that people are flouting the rules with impunity, and the police are watching on.
Now we are lucky to have a IGP who is not Inspector General of Police and Social Welfare. When he came, he wanted to see. He's not even 100 days yet. Let's see a brother bar if in Nashasi. Now we see what he's doing. We are asking him to go and enforce this law tomorrow. That anybody on a tricycle should wear a helmet, should wear protective clothing, and those who are sitting in Mahama Kambu, they are also subjected to that mandatory helmet.
So what's your point? They should protect themselves but still ply on the highway.
No, I'm not saying they should ply. The plyway itself, the motorway. If you observe the motorway rules and regulations, no tricycle, mopeds can ply the motorway. That one is there. Is the enforcement issue. The police, the IGP,
it's supposed to enforce that.
Get his men to enforce it, and whilst enforcing it, you should not allow trotters to solicit passengers on the. It's insane. The ministers, when they travel outside, Dubai and all those, do you see trotters and vehicles stopping on motorways and soliciting for passengers?
Okay, Ms. Autry, you've heard he's made a lot of some critical points. The fact that people are not protecting themselves, the fact that they are exposed to health dangers and what have you. Have you put all of this as part of the enforcement or the laws that you've picked and put in the bylaws to ensure that you deal with these tricycles?
Dealing with the tricycles, it's a holistic issue. The person must not ply on the highways, neither the principal streets.
Okay.
That is clear. If the person is going to ply on a third class road.
So it's only the highways that matter to you?
Yeah, that is the core of the bylaw.
Okay.
That they should not ply on the highways and the principal streets.
Okay. But have
That
you
is
also
where-
thought about
that
these,
is
the
where-
wearing of protective gears? How, I mean, to what extent do you collaborate with the security agents, the police, to enforce these laws?
Of course, that is a typical assignment of the MTTD
Okay.
to enforce
The laws.
Yeah, the laws. And that one is not enshrined in our bylaw.
Okay.
Asha, the bylaw you're talking about.
The bylaw
It's, even let me get it. The DVLA. You see, DVLA, when they license a vehicle, you have private use and you have commercial use. And they are identified by the number plate. Some of them are yellow. And
some are blue, some are green.
yeah. Motorcycles, we have only one color, which is all blue.
Okay.
Because the law says that you cannot use it for commercial purposes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you cannot use it for commercial purposes, those who are carrying the baller and all those things, what are they doing? Are they doing charity? That is talking about bylaws.
That should be that should be for the police to deal with them.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it's much ado about nothing. You see? So the law itself says that you cannot use it for commercial purposes.
The law says it, but it's not being implemented.
Well, you know, it says that it become bylaws. And the bylaws, then they should go at me. I don't have a problem. They should go and get the law changed. That the law then remove that criminalization. And
we should get, get distinction between the
think
motorcycles and the tricycles.
Okay.
The tricycles are those ones that they call abubuya.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the motorcycles are the ones for the Okada.
All of them are in that.
Exactly.
They all fall in the same category,
exactly.
I must say.
It will be difficult for someone to identify a motorcycle that is being used for commercial purposes. Maybe he carries one passenger at the back and he rides.
Okay.
The only time, you see, the police striked, and you could see that most of these people, they don't even have rider license. They don't have roadworthy. They don't have insurance.
Yep.
And the police has made it clear that if you use a motorcycle, you must have all these qualifications to qualify you to ride.
Okay.
So that when they arrest you, if you don't have any of these ones, then you fall culprit.
Okay.
But the bylaws we are talking about is where people use it in form of tricycles to carry other refuse or in other ways. And one, they cause congestion in the streets, the principal streets. Like the motorway, as we even mentioned, we are required to be at a certain speed. But because of this, today I saw something, it was pathetic.
Okay.
2 tricycles have to ride alongside one another in one lane. It means at the other side, you cannot maneuver if there is any vehicle ahead of you. You see, so it is something that I think we should rather applaud the regional minister for this support. It is a support to the various assemblies.
Yes.
That's what we should rather.
We all support.
Let me bring in Cecil Garba. Cecil, you've been there for quite some time. Thanks for your patience. Now that the regional minister has taken this pain to ensure that it is brought into the bylaws, and so all the assemblies can also assist in ensuring that these tricycles do not contribute to the crashes we have on our ways. What would be your expectation? Because you painfully spoke about how implementation or enforcement has been a pain to us.
Well, first of all, like I said, I'm supporting the regional minister 100%. Implementation is always the problem, right? I am advising the 2 powerful political parties that we have in this country, that's the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress, not to politicize this issue. This is a road safety issue. It is good for you and myself because we always say that road safety begins from you. Right, we should support this, and then nobody should say, oh, because NPP is in power and so on. It must continue in future to save lives and properties. Just like your panelists are saying, I mean, this is a situation where they are not qualified because the law states very clearly that motorbikes, which are less than 2,500 cubic capacity, must not be, example, on the motorway. And then this mopeds, the tricycles that we see do not qualify. They do not have the speed, and they are quite a nuisance. They are causing a lot of accidents. And you see the tricycles, and then you see a pillion rider that has forced itself on the tricycle. There's no seat. You look at them and you look at the dressing. They are not even wearing any sort of protective attire, such as boots, such as knee pads, and so on. But they are on these tricycles. They do not have mirrors, if you notice very carefully, right? And if you don't have mirrors, how can you ply the roads? So they must be restricted, and I support this, that it must be done. It will be a bit difficult because, excuse me to say that most of them are not well educated, and therefore, if they are not even well educated, we must take the advantage to use the opinion leaders to talk to them, for them to understand. Fine, some of them have taken it up, and it is their daily bread, and for that's the painful side of it. But if it's painful, the whole issue is that what if a vehicle hits you from the rear and you become a dead body? How are you going to take care of your family, right? So especially those who are carrying garbage, I believe, and I've said it before, that this is an opportunity for us to give them a collection point, and then we get them away from plying the motorway where they look left, right, and then empty their garbage anywhere. That's quite not any good thing. It will be difficult, like I said, but with a lot of education, that will go a long distance to save the situation, and then you and I will be free. That also must be extended to the Okada system. I don't know why the minister did not talk about Okada, and I have been an advocate for this safety measures, that it is time for us to look at re-registration of all motorbikes in this country with your Ghana card. If you use your Ghana card, and I'm challenging DVLA that there are a lot of security features that we can emboss with a metal embossment on the motorbike, so we know the owners of this motorbike, right? And this will be stopped for using them for crime, where people sit on the motorbikes and then they feel they've got that opportunity. Let us not look at only the tricycles, but again, the Okada system. I can see a lot of them are shifting from picking passengers to become dispatch riders, to dispatch letters, food, etc. That is good. And then they need to be trained as well, and stop them from cutting traffic lights and be in front, and then running through all those lights, and then also right in the middle. It's even a traffic offense to ride in the middle of two vehicles. It's really dangerous. We need to look at all those things. The laws are there. Let us implement the laws so you and I will be free. I mean, sometimes you are driving and then you see a tricycle on your right side trying to overtake you because you are in traffic. On the major roads as well as the highways, I believe this is the last warning to all of them, that they need to change their style. We should have a better mode of operation for them so that they can also carry on with their work. The minister as well as assemblies must get a collection point for the garbage carriers.
This is the point that I have to find out from you. Do you have a collection point?
Yeah, that is it. Every assembly has to have what they call transfer station.
Okay.
So those who carry in smaller bits converge at the transfer station for it to be cut into the final disposable site.
Okay.
So these bylaws have not just come in isolation. All these preparations have been made.
Okay.
In my municipality, for instance, we have identified an area for transfer site. it has been walled.
Okay.
And the process is ongoing. And I believe within the 2 months that we are talking of, every assembly in Greater Accra will have a transfer station.
Okay.
So that it will not demand them traveling that distance to carry it on the highways. Yes.
All right, Nana. So wrap it up for me briefly. We have to move on to other topics. So now that it's been launched, and you've called on the IGP to actually ensure that the people wear the protective gears and the people who are exposed to health dangers are dealt with. What exactly do you also want with regards to this bylaws?
Well, I didn't. When I was invited here, I didn't know this ban was pertaining to bylaws.
Okay.
They were using bylaws to do that. I thought it was generally that.
No.
It's the only president who can come with executive instrument.
Okay.
To say that, like we had in the COVID-19. But I thought that it does not lie in the mouth of the regional minister to come and say that you cannot drive on the Tamamoto way, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. That was, well, but now it's been straightened up that it's a bylaw. That's fine. But the law should be enforced because whether it's a bylaw or not a bylaw,
it's in our books.
There's a collection point or not collection point. They are going to use the public thoroughfare, and that's my concern.
Okay.
If you are in traffic, there are do's and don't do's, and you must conform to the rules and regulations on the roads. Now, these tricycles drivers, they are not riders, they are drivers.
Okay.
And they are co-pilots. Do they wear helmets?
They don't. So these are issues that you want to be dealt with.
Yes.
And thankfully you called on the IGP to ensure that all of these are done. It's something that we'll be looking out for
the IGP
as the days goes by.
He's a no-nonsense man.
Exactly. And you said that he's shown us the way. I want to thank you, gentlemen. We have to move on from here. Thank you so much, Nana Noamir, for coming here. Albert Boachiotri, thank you so much for your time. And Cecil Gaba joined us via Zoom. I'm grateful for your time. We'll have to take you live to the Electoral Commission because this afternoon, the Electoral Commission is reviewing election 2020 and all the fallout. Stay with me.
Everyone, the focus is now on Dr. Bolsonaro Kasari. Please help me appreciate him as he gets ready to come. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. The Electoral Commission is very grateful for the support you continually provide in the dissemination of its programs to the good people of our dear country. More especially, we applaud you for your display of professionalism during the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. Indeed, you helped the Commission to demystify all the processes in the elections, from the registration of voters to the declaration of the results in all the 275 parliamentary elections and the presidential election. This edition of Let the Citizen Know is aimed at providing an update on the 2020 elections and addressing a number of allegations that have been leveled against the Commission by the former president who led the NDC in the 2020 presidential election. I will begin by providing a brief overview of the 2020 elections. Let me state that the 2020 elections have been hailed globally as transparent and successful for the orderly and efficient manner they were conducted in spite of the global COVID-19 pandemic. The elections began with the replacement of an entire biometric voter management solution, that is the software and the hardware comprising biometric verification devices and biometric voter registration kits. It took the Commission only 6 months to conduct the entire electoral process, from the preparation of a new biometric register on the 30th of June 2020 to the declaration of the results on 9th December 2020. This was because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and yet the entire process came off without a hitch. In spite of the projections of the spread of COVID-19 and deaths, there was no spread of the virus. This was due to the stringent safety practices put in place by the Electoral Commission. In all our 38,622 polling stations across the country, there was sufficient supply.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
We'll take you back to the Electoral Commission and bring you that press conference being held on election 2020 and all the fallout. But government has this afternoon launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for illegal miners in the country. Let's go back to the Electoral Commission and get excerpts of that press conference. We'll bring you the story afterwards.
First time in our history, commissioners themselves provided regular updates directly to the citizens of our country. As a result, the secrecy and suspicion that characterized our work was reduced. This helped build confidence in our processes and reduce the tension that surrounded our work and elections. For example, during the registration, the Commission provided regular figures on demographics to Ghanaians, such as male-female ratio, youth, persons with disabilities, etc. So transparent was our process that anyone could, on a weekly basis, calculate the number of registered voters across board. This was not the case previously. Again, in spite of the fact that this was an entirely new register, there were no incidents of missing names on elections day, unlike previous elections when people went to the polling stations but could not find their names. The presidential candidates of the two major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, also attested to the effectiveness of the registration exercise. For the first time in our history, we were able to reduce the cost of elections per voter from $13.34 in 2016 to $7.70 in 2020, and saved over 500 million Ghana cedis or $90 million US, at a time when the cost of elections the world over was rising. The savings were made in spite of the purchase of huge numbers of COVID-19 items, which were in no short supply in all the 38,622 polling stations, and in spite of the fact that, unlike in 2016, we paid full taxes on all our items. It is important to note that we also created an additional 10,000 polling stations and still were able to reduce the cost of the elections. This was achieved through prudent procurement practices which favored open, competitive tendering rather than single and restrictive sourcing. Again, for the first time, the elections were fully funded by the government of Ghana with no donor support. Yet another first, we did not experience the long queues at our 38,622 polling stations as in previous elections. By 1 p.m., most centers were near empty, as voters had already voted well before the 5 p.m. deadline. Again, for the first time in our history, there were no shortages of election materials anywhere in all the 38,622 polling stations. Even in advanced cities like Berlin in Germany, in the recent election, materials ran out, leading to delays. Again, we reduced the voting time from 10 to 12 minutes to 3 to 5 minutes. Furthermore, we declared the results in a record 48 hours. We also created another layer of transparency and scrutiny by the introduction of the Regional Collation Center. This enabled all the party agents to verify constituency presidential results the second time before signing and forwarding them to the National Collation Center. We are reliably informed that the agents at the Regional Collation Center were professionals. NDC, for example, had seasoned lawyers at the regional collation centers throughout the country. It is important to note that the introduction of the facial verification, in addition to the verification of the fingerprints, significantly reduced the percentage of manual verification. Previously, this was a source of concern to the Commission. Of the over 13.4 million persons who voted on December 7th, more than 99.9% of them were verified through either fingerprint or facial recognition biometric verification, an indication that the Commission took the right decision to introduce the facial recognition feature to our verification process. Nationally, only 11,050 people were manually verified. We are determined to ensure this statistically insignificant figure is further reduced in future elections. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this in a nutshell provides the significant developments of the 2020 elections. Distinguished citizens, in the last few weeks, former President Mahama has made a number of allegations against the Electoral Commission and the 2020 elections. As officials charged with the responsibility of conducting elections in Ghana, we owe it a duty to provide Ghanaians with the facts and the truth about the elections and the allegations raised. We are of the view that our silence on these false allegations could have dire consequences as it could undermine citizens' confidence in our dear country. The former president has said the EC printed 1 million ballot papers in favor of the President of the Republic. This is untrue. This is a grave matter that undermines the credibility of our electoral process and should not be ignored. We call on him to provide evidence to support this claim. This is not a matter that should be ignored, and we call on the Ghana Police Service to investigate. The transparency of our process makes it totally impossible for this to happen. At the polling stations prior to the start of the elections, the empty ballot boxes are opened and displayed in the presence of everyone, including the political party agents, and thereafter they are sealed in the presence of everyone. There are serial numbers on the ballot papers for each region and constituency. This is made known to the agents before the elections, and the political parties also know this. Our ballot papers also have security features, so any trace of new material will be clearly visible. Again, at the end of the poll, the ballots cast are cross-checked against the voters who were verified and issued the ballot papers. This ensures that overvoting is detected immediately, because if at the center 20 people were issued the ballots, we expect that the ballot box will contain 20. Nationwide, we had no issue with overvoting at all the 38,622 polling stations, except in Savelugu in the parliamentary election, where there was one, and I repeat, one overvoting. The transparency of our processes from the beginning to the end makes this impossible. Ballot staffing cannot be done. It is just impossible. We call on the former president, in the interest of our democracy, to provide evidence of the staffing of the ballot boxes by the EC and its officials. The police should investigate this as a matter of urgency due to its potential to derail and undermine our democracy and lead to a lack of confidence in our system and processes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the former president has alleged that the military influenced the declaration and announcement of election results. This is also false. It never happened. Nowhere did the military influence the declaration and announcement of results. It is not true. The 2020 processes were widely participatory. The media, local and international observers, as well as ordinary citizens, participated in the elections. The results declared and announced at the polling stations and collation center were a true reflection of the will of the Ghanaian people. The media and observers also picked their data right from the ground, directly from the 38,622 polling stations and the collation centers, and the results were no different from what the EC declared. To buttress the fact that the results were a reflection of the will of the people, it is important to indicate that all the major networks, Peace FM, UTV, OK FM, Adum TV, JoyNews, Angel FM, Kesbin FM, Sky News, GBC, Atinka Media, and all the major networks, City FM, collected their own results. And it was the same as what the EC declared. These networks called the election for the President of the Republic before the EC declared. The parallel voter tabulation employed by Kodeo also confirmed the results declared by the Electoral Commission. We call on the good people of Ghana to disregard this allegation of the military influencing the declaration and announcement of results, as it is false and untrue. In the interest of our democracy, we call on the former president to provide evidence of where the influence by the military occurred. We have also noted that the former president has called the 2020 elections the worst election. We refute a scoring. The good people of Ghana who experience our processes are the best judges. Their testimonies on social media and elsewhere demonstrated that Ghanaians were highly satisfied with the 2020 elections. Additionally, the 2020 elections have been held locally and globally as highly transparent, fair, credible, and inclusive. World over, scientific methods are used to measure the success or otherwise of elections. International and local observers who use scientific, internationally accepted methods to measure the quality of elections have confirmed that the elections were transparent, credible, and highly successful. It is not a wonder that the internationally recognized European Union International Observer Mission, which has a track record of elections observation across the world, scored the 2020 elections 95%. Once again, we refute the ranking given by the former president and state that on the basis of scientific evidence, the 2020 elections will go down as the best in the history of this great republic. It will be important to note the scientific tools used by the former president to reach this particular conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, once more, the former president has accused the EC of being responsible for the violence that took place at Techiman. We state for the records that the violence was not caused as a result of the EC or its staff. More importantly, the EC is not responsible for security as the former president sought to portray. Nowhere in our laws or in the Constitution, security one of the functions of the EC. To lay security lapses at the doorstep of the EC is unfortunate. While we sympathize with the family members of the deceased, we reject any attempt to associate violence with us. Again, we call on the former president in the interest of our democracy to provide evidence that the EC orchestrated the violence. In Techiman, for example, one of the radio stations asked the town folks to go to the coalition center to protect the ballot for the NDC parliamentary candidate. This is what led to the chaos that ensued at the coalition center in Techiman. Our regional and district officials indicated that, but for the presence of the security personnel, they would probably not be here today. In Savelugu, the violence occurred at the polling station, not at the Electoral Commission's polling station or the coalition center. None of them had anything to do with the conduct of our officials. Therefore, to blame the EC for the violence portrays a deliberate attempt to malign and impugn on the integrity of the commission. Whilst we collaborated with the security agencies under the platform of the Election Security Task Force, our responsibility was to conduct the elections, and we did that creditably. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the former president has also said that the elections were fraudulent. This is not true. The elections were fair, transparent, credible, and this have been attested to by local and international observers, as well as by the General Secretary of the NDC. After the declaration of the results, the NDC initially challenged the elections by stating that the elections were rigged and that they had won. But they went to the Supreme Court alleging no one had won. However, throughout the proceedings at the court, they were not able to provide any pink sheet or any single pink sheet to support their claim of fraudulent elections. In the full glare of Ghanaians, when the General Secretary of the NDC was asked about the figures to support the petitioner's claim that no one won the election, he said he did not come to challenge the validity of the results. When the General Secretary was also asked to tabulate the results during cross-examination, he confirmed that indeed the president actually won the presidential election with more than 50% plus one of the votes. The two main political parties had at least 2 agents at all the polling stations representing the interests of their presidential and parliamentary candidates. The commission did not receive any reports from the party agents complaining of fraud by the EC officials. As the saying goes, he who alleges must provide the proof. The NDC had this fine opportunity to provide evidence to support their claim of rigged elections. They failed to do so. They did not provide a single pig sheet as earlier stated. Finally, we have on several occasions heard the former president state that the chairperson has been running away from accountability. This is false. The EC is an institution. As such, for the former president to equate the entire institution to the chairperson is an attempt to malign her and cause disaffection for her. As an institution, we account to the good people of Ghana through the Special Budget Committee of Parliament, and we have done so, and we report regularly. We do not account to individuals. We do not account to presidential candidates. The Constitution does not permit that. For the information of the public, before and after the election, the EC officials held meetings with the Special Budget Committee for our stewardship. We continue to do this. Furthermore, the Supreme Court is not the platform for the EC. It's not the platform for the EC to account to the people of Ghana. As far as elections are concerned, the Supreme Court is a court for settling presidential election disputes, as stated in Article 63(3) of the 1992 Constitution. This is why the former president took us to court. After the evidence adduced by the three witnesses of the petitioner, it became evident that the petitioner had no credible evidence to support his claim. Indeed, the General Secretary of the NDC said they did not come to court to challenge the validity of the election. In fact, there was no single evidence to support their claim that no one won the presidential election. Our lawyers were of the view that the witnesses had not provided credible evidence during cross-examination on which the chairperson could be cross-examined. In their view, there was no need to respond, and they asked the court to decide the matter based on the evidence adduced by the petitioner's witnesses. Ghanaians watched the proceedings and saw that the petitioner and his witnesses did not tender any evidence, as the General Secretary, in an answer to a judge, indicated that they did not bring any figures to court, and that they did not come to court with any figures, neither did they come to challenge the validity of the results. In any case, where a person goes to court and accuses another person of wrongdoing, and the person accused chooses not to respond, shouldn't the accuser go home a happy person? In conclusion on this subject, we wish to state that the EC is mindful of its obligations to account for its stewardship to the good people of Ghana through Parliament, and we will continue to do so. The Commission is concerned about the attempt to undermine and malign the state institution that has been at the forefront of championing the country's electoral democracy. The Commission does not determine who wins or who wins elections in Ghana. The people of Ghana actually do. The Electoral Commission has never wavered in our belief that a great work was done in 2020, and this has been supported by Ghanaians who voted in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Commission, we want to say thank you for coming to support us. Thank you very much.
Right. I think Dr. Osman deserves another round of applause. Also, people believing an excellent delivery. Thank you so much, sir. We will allow for a few questions. We'll just have one round of questions, maximum of 3 questions. And so whoever wants to ask a question can come forward. I see one hand here. Any other? 1, 2, 3. Okay, come. You answer you one question, don't ask me one question. Yeah, so go ahead, mention your name, organization you represent, and then you have a question.
My name is Nathaniel ABC. So, Dr. Osman, listen to you tell us, give us a view of how the election was so far. And it appears we didn't hear you speak of presenting a single challenge. And so is it the case that there was no challenge at all from your side, from the EC? Because even before the election, we were told that the results will be announced 24 hours after post vote. And we saw that it was announced 48 hours after. So we didn't hear of any challenge. Is it the case that there was no challenge at all?
The point is made, right?
Dr. Osman, this is calling on the police to investigate former terrorism. Is it the case that you are writing a petition to the police so that we can take it further, or we are just taking it as we are here for the police to take over things?
Okay.
My name is Sixtus. I work for City FM and City TV. The citizens have a lot of questions, but we are restricted. In addition to the question on the police, yes, Doc. In addition to whether you have specifically written to the police or you will be writing, on the issue of you not responding to presidential candidates, is that healthy if the referee in the game says it is not to account to leaders of political parties? Is it not the kind of position that will create certain impression among certain political parties to the extent that they think that the EC has closed its doors to the concerns of major stakeholders?
So we will respond to the 3%.
Let's do this.
We should do this.
I think the first questioner was asking about no challenge. I think historically the commission has been declaring results in 72 hours, but the commission took upon itself to be able to declare in 48 hours. We don't see that as a challenge per se. We aimed at doing it much earlier, and we're able to do it within 48 hours. So as a commission, going forward, we'll still look at the measures that must be put in place so that we can achieve that. But the 48 hours we were able to do is even a record. So we hope to build upon that in future elections. Then the second person was asking investigate the former president. What the commission is basically saying is that the former president has made certain allegations which border on the integrity of our electoral processes. And the commission is saying that those things did not happen. So it will be in the interest of the good people of Ghana for the Ghana Police Service to act on that. And we are beseeching the police service to look into it. Then I think the gentleman from CTFM, Mr. Sister Sulu, I think let me use this opportunity to state that the Electoral Commission is accountable to all Ghanaians. We are accountable to all Ghanaians. But we know Ghanaians have their representatives in Parliament. So we are accountable to Ghanaians through their representatives. Constitutionally, we are not accountable to any individual. Even as a commission, we are not accountable to the President of the Republic. We deal with the representatives of the people in Parliament. So please, if anyone needs anything from the commission, you write to us. But in terms of accountability, we deal with Parliament. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you. All too soon we come to the end of this encounter. And we will call on Mr. Samuel Tete, the teacher of operations, to give us his closing remarks.
Joy wanted to ask a question.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Dr. Osman, and all of you actually. It's been a pleasure being with you this evening. The main issues why we actually came here have been addressed by Osman. We know that the commission organized the best elections in the country so far. We look at the circumstances under which the elections were held, under COVID environment. The achievements of the 2020 elections have also been hammered. The allegations by the former president have also been refuted. But my major concern in that of the commission is the 1 million votes which he alleges have been printed. And all along, we know the transparency of the electoral process. We, as a commission, haven't changed any aspect of this transparency. It has been there, it is there, and it's not going to be changed. Political party agents were at the printing houses 24 hours, security maximum, to have the police, the national security, and all that. How can we print about 1 million ballots, and where are we sending? And that is exactly what the commission is actually demanding. It has never happened. 1 million votes. Where are you sending? How can you? Their agents were also there. So the media has always been playing an important role. Some of them continue to play very important role. They ask very relevant questions. When some of these allegations are raised, we will continue to dwell on the media that anytime these allegations are raised, they should also have the guts to actually ask certain questions as to why they are raising those allegations. We thank you very much for coming, and we believe that all the issues which were raised in the public domain have actually been answered. Thank you, and we will continue to address you anytime we have some of these.
Right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Yes, we will have the closing prayer by Dr. Kedu one more time. We shall be on our feet as we all close the prayer.
Father, we thank you once again for bringing this session into successful end. Lord, we know with you all things are possible. That's why we continue to count on you. We know that we cannot do anything without your promptings. And you know the fight is yours. We will continue to count on you and submit ourselves to your guidance. Continue to protect us and guide us. Give us the strength and let us succeed in doing whatever you have called us to do. We know you are accountable to you. And we continue to please you because we know with you we will succeed in our endeavors. That we are going back to our various homes and destinations. Carry us safely to our places. Protect us, guide us. We will continue to be meeting. And all things take control. We ask it to the blood of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. So you have the Deputy Commissioner of Elections at the Electoral Commission, Bosman Asari, who was addressing the press conference there. They're challenging, actually, President Mahama, former President Mahama, to provide evidence of his claim that over 1 million ballot papers were printed in favor of the NPP during the polls. And the Electoral Commission also has asked police to probe the allegations. The Electoral Commission is also rejecting the claim that the military influenced the declaration of the results. They've been addressing the media in what they term as a review of the 2020 elections and matters arising. Let's move on to other stories, because government has today launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for illegal miners in the country. The program is expected to provide a good option for miners to work and support themselves and their families. President Akufo-Addo, launching the program, explained the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program will provide good economic livelihood options for illegal miners and also reverse the negative impact on our environment. Listen.
The lives of several people, including women and children, depend on these illegal activities. But the sheer impact of these activities on the environment mean that we cannot allow them to continue. A comprehensive approach to tackling this cancer, which demonstrates also our commitment to social solidarity and harmony, requires that while working with the security agencies for the protection and proper utilization of our natural resources, we fashion alternative means of livelihood for those affected by the crackdown. This is important because our mineral resources are finite and we will not have them forever. We should diversify our sources of livelihood, even in mining communities, to reduce the impact of the depletion of the resources on our social and economic lives. Already, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, through the Minerals Commission and the Minerals Development Fund, is working with other partners to implement some alternative livelihood programs to promote socioeconomic development in mining communities. But following a heightened drive in recent years to deal with illegal mining activities in red zones, many more illegal miners have lost their illegal sources of livelihood. It is to provide legitimate alternative sources of livelihood for such persons the government has decided to initiate the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program. This program, first of all, seeks to mitigate the unavoidable hardships which our efforts to sanitize the small-scale mining sector has created, particularly in the 5 regions that Operation HALT carried out its operations. It is intended to provide good economic livelihood options to illegal mining and its associated activities, and to enable those adversely impacted the opportunity to work and support themselves and their families. The program will also focus on reversing the negative impact of illegal mining on the environment through the National Land Reclamation and Reforestation component of the program. Given that most of our degraded lands are due to illegal mining activities, it is very fitting that any program targeting illegal mining should include a reclamation portion.
The president hinted the community mining scheme, which is expected to create some 220,000 jobs for the youth, is also ready.
This component of the program will restore degraded lands into economically viable lands, creating job opportunities for the youth, landowners, and communities at large. In keeping with our commitment to promote responsible, viable, and sustainable small-scale mining, the program will also include a community mining scheme, which will be the model for small-scale mining activities in the country. During my last visit to Takwa, I indicated that the Akun Community Mining Scheme was under construction and would be launched soon. I'm happy to announce that under the strong leadership of the Member of Parliament for Takwa and Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable John Miriku Duka, the scheme is ready. And it is hereby commissioned as the first community mining project since the inception of this program. Community mining schemes will be supported by the Mine and Support Services, and altogether I expect it to create some 220,000 jobs. Let me stress once more, the government will not condone any illegal activities in the mining sector.
You heard that President Akufo-Addo launching the Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program and also commissioning the Community Mining Scheme. He says will create some 220,000 jobs. We'll take a break off the pulse. We'll be back shortly.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Hi there, Hans Mensando here with Sports on the Pulse. Now, Manchester United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he has, quote, come too far to give up, despite overseeing Sunday's 5-0 thrashing by Liverpool at Old Trafford. Mohamed Salah claimed the hat-trick, while Naby Keita and Diogo Jota also scored in the Reds' dominant win. Solskjaer said the loss is his darkest day as manager, but he will carry on. Joining me in the studio to analyze Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future and what next for Manchester United is my colleague Haruna Mubarak. And the key question everyone has been asking is whether or not Ole is the right man for the Manchester United job. Now, if you check the trends on Twitter, it will be on your screen pretty shortly. You see the one topping the trends. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 75.7k tweets. If you go further down, I'm sure there are still some trends that involves Manchester United. Antonio Conte as well, also trending because he's been linked heavily to Manchester United as the next manager. You go further down, you still find something related to Manchester United. Ferguson, also related to Manchester United. And of course, the hashtag Ole out, as of this moment, also among the top trends globally. And it all has to do with that 5-0 defeat at the hands of Liverpool yesterday. Mubarak. So just in terms of moving forward, where does Manchester United go from here? And wherever they choose to go, does it begin with the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
I think the answer is as clear as water. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to be shown the exit door. You know my position. I don't. On this same show, I made it clear that this guy is not competent enough to lead Manchester United to the promise.
At what point did you realize that? Have you always held that view that he's not the man to lead Manchester United, or he came to that conclusion at some point during his tenure? Okay, so I was very optimistic that things were going to be good this season. Okay. But when I've watched all United games this season, and from the 5-1 victory against Leeds United to the draw against Southampton to the defeat to Leicester City, and yesterday the pummeling by Liverpool, the performance was not up to the mark. And he's got the competent players to get the job done. Right. He has Ronaldo, he has Jadon Sancho. He's been backed by the board. What we want to see is not necessarily about the win. The win is important, but United fans want to see an identity, wants to see his handiwork on the team. And that is what we are not seeing. After 3 years in charge, without any handiwork, then clearly he has no business being as the head coach of Manchester United. It's a bit overblown, you know. What do you make of it? Does Manchester United have enough quality to be challenging Chelsea, to be challenging Manchester City, to be challenging Liverpool, who they lost to by 5-0 yesterday? Or like people are saying, are we blowing the quality of Manchester United out of proportion, really? The rest of the day, and of course, over on social media a bit later tonight at 10:30 p.m. on Fan Zone, we'll expand this conversation and find out where we are. There are rumors circulating that the board is leaning towards sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We'll continue to monitor, and when it does break, on all platforms, JoyNews, Joy 99.7 FM, My Joy Online, where you can read the latest. We'll bring you all the details. My name is Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
And that's our Pat Company this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to My Joy Online. That's where you get updates of all the developing stories. Let's Talk Showbiz is up next to enjoy the rest of our programs. Hello, it's a wonderful Monday. You're welcome to Let's Talk Showbiz here on the JoyNews channel. Most importantly, I hope you had a great weekend. I did. It was a bit tiring, but I'm here. The Monday it has started. In fact, the week has started, so we've all started on a good one. Well, today I'll bring you some updates on some activities to expect this festive season. I'm talking about Christmas, beyond the return. I'll bring you updates on that. Plus, Shatawale Medical still in the news. Some entertainment pundits have been saying a few things about Shatawale, those who are not happy and they've moved from his camp. And then, well, the need for support in the music industry or the entertainment industry in general. My name is Doreen Avi and the show is Let's Talk Showbiz. This is Let's Talk Showbiz if you're just joining me, and we have just a few days to the end of October. Some are waiting payday, but we have just a month to December, and you know how it is. Christmas time in Ghana, it's all fun. We had the year of return, and now we have beyond the return, and it looks like there are some activities that have been outlined for Christmas by the Ghana Tourism Authority. Of course, the Minister of Tourism and Arts and Culture, they were all there, and it looks like we have a way of having fun in Christmas. But my colleague IB was there. He brought us highlights and, of course, what the Minister and the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority have been saying about how COVID will be managed during this festive season.
Protocols that govern it. So a lot of event organizers have contacted the Secretariat, have sought to get their events endorsed. Over the period, we've worked with some of them to put in place protocols that have eventually been approved by His Excellency the President. We have been working through the National COVID-19 Task Force and the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Nsia Asari, to put in place these protocols, which has been discussed with some of the key event organizers to ensure that the protocols are not just put in place, but they are protocols that can be adhered to. And so I'll go through them quickly and announce some of the events. Our plan is that by November 1, we will have the full calendar out. The reason why we are not doing the full calendar today is because some of these event organizers have as yet to apply formally to be admitted onto the calendar of events for December in GH. And now that the protocols have been signed off, we are putting it out so that those who are yet to engage to have their events on the calendar will be put on. People that have already been passed out or passed off already based on the protocols. We have Afrochella. I don't know whether Kenny is here. Afrochella is one event that a lot of people have been sending us questions on, whether Afrochella is going to happen. So the answer is yes, Afrochella is happening. It's on the 28th of December this year, and already we've engaged with the organizers, and we are hopeful that after today's announcement, they will go ahead and make their formal announcement and ensure that they are able to draw in the numbers. We also have the Polo Beach Club, Rhythms on the Runway, which we've also engaged on already. The Guba Awards that is happening in a few weeks is also part of that. The Taste of Ghana, Kwanzaa in Ghana, the Diaspora Transition and Diaspora Conference, and a few others that we hope to add to the table. We also engage with the organizers of the Takoradi festivals in Takoradi, and then also some other events commemorating the 100th centenary celebration of Nana Yaa Asantewaa. And so these are some of the things that we are anticipating, and like I indicated, by November 1, the full list and the full calendar will be placed on the various websites, www.beyondthereturngh.com.
As at now, we've achieved about 70% of our targets for this year. Tourism has rebounded. Last year was very appalling because of COVID, but we are going to double our figures that we had for 2020 in 2021. Ghana is getting more tourist arrivals than any other country in West Africa as of today. And we think it's a policy that the government has put in place. When the COVID came, the president took drastic measures. Closure, as we all know, there were a lot of closures and a lot of restrictions put in place. And Ghana is getting more vaccinations than most countries in West Africa. By December, God willing, we'll have vaccinated close to 20 million people in this country, out of 31 million people. That will be a significant figure. And also, as you all know, the president did a lot of things, including even support to the vulnerable during the COVID-19 period.
We are hopeful that by the end of year, the minister had given us a target of 1 million by June 2022. And so we are hoping that if we can get to around the 500,000 by December, which we are very hopeful we can, then our target of 1 million by 2022 will be there. We've also seen a growth in numbers from Nigeria, which is a good thing. And so we are hopeful that once the land borders also get open, these are all people coming in by flight. Nigeria is still number 2. So the numbers are looking good. Like Minister said, latest reports that are coming in show that Ghana's sector is gradually rebounding. And the Statistical Service recently said that the hospitality and tourism sector is one of the fastest rebounding.
Yeah, the sector is growing by 47%, one of the key sectors of growth. Yeah, and they expect that to grow 47%, tourism in Ghana, bigger than most sectors. 47% in a year is good.
All right, so those were highlights, and I believe that we are all ready. Christmas is just around the corner. We are all preparing. We are looking forward to a good one this December, and of course, not just from Ghana, but people who are going to come into Ghana. Now, away from that, over the weekend, lots of entertainment shows were, discussing Shatta Wale and Medical, and that's because they are in remand, and we are all looking forward to their release sometime maybe this week or next week. And well, on Joy FM, Uncle Ken was on it. Rocky Dawuni, award-winning musician, reggae musician, was also on it. And well, they have been sharing their thoughts on the Shatta Wale and medical issues. But Rocky also took time to, call for support from media and of course the entire industry. But let's hear from them what they had to say about Shatta Wale and medical.
I liked Shatta for his, intellect, his gift of making hits at that particular time until he started misbehaving. So I resigned from the board of the Shatta movement. Alongside Shatta at the time, I was a hardcore SAG fan. Right. Mama B will tell you, from those days. I was a hardcore SAG fan as well. And so I felt a bit upset at what happened to Nyama this week. But I see it as something that Nyama brought on himself. Shatta goes out of the way to do certain things that, a lot of people know are not right. But the hardcore fans follow him everywhere, ginger him up.
They refuse to see the wrong.
They refuse to see the wrong in what he does. And that I want to know why certain musicians cannot read between the lines. Because what has happened is something that I just couldn't believe.
And when we look at this psychologically, is it that he finds himself in a space where it carries a certain level of aggression? I'd like to hear it from you.
I just think generally that it is kind of an indictment on all of us. You know, it's really an indictment on all of us in the age of social media, you know, whereby we have come to the point of, first of all, we all get collectively obsessed by certain things, and then those things are also amplified by the blogosphere. You know, and the blogosphere, they amplify it based upon the ability to be able to get clicks and the ability to be able to monetize the news. You know, so it has come to a point where negativity, which is the most virulent form of news, has risen to the top. You know, and the culpability is not only in terms of the people who perpetuate it, but also it's becoming systemic. You know, where one thing starts from somewhere, others take it, others assume they know what is going on before even the facts of the matter. And then by the time you see, it's a big, huge mess, you know. And I think that it's also both some artists and musicians and also people with that type of social pedestal that, you know, your words are important. Your actions are important. Whatever you do has impact. So even something that might seem just an expression of yourself put on social media and then violently dispersed can, in the real world, cause real problems. But many people are removed from the impact of their actions, because it's a medium that everybody, once they see that it's trending and that kind of stuff, everybody joins on it.
Okay, so he decides that the best way to attack the prophecy is to do what he did. But you cannot break the law to make a case, even if somebody has broken the law. And I'm happy that the laws are, what I have been very happy about amidst all this is the fact that I have enjoyed the intellectual discourse that lawyers and certain people are putting across. Put aside the chaff, you know, the emotional, you know, tabulations that people are expressing. Put those aside. I enjoy the intellectual discourse and what I can garner from that to see where we stand as a nation. And I'm happy to see that there are laws. You see, we've always been crying out that there are laws in this country, but we never work with the laws. And this time, the laws are being made to work. Let's see it through. I just hope we see it through, because there's been too many instances in this country where we've all come out in shouting, hey, 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 this person has done that, this person has done that. They're taken to court, first appearance, second appearance, and that's it. We never hear anything again. I mean, there are countless cases that have never seen the end that I can recount. So I just hope that this time this goes all the way.
Right, so those were comments from Uncle Ken Adi and, of course, Rocky Dawuni. It's rather unfortunate, but we are hoping that they will be released soon after they appear in court. And just so you know, Ikuapim Polo is also supposed to be in court today. And then Pastor Jesus Ahwonfe he's now also out. He's been granted bail. So as and when we get more updates on all of this, we'll bring it right here on the show for you. My name is Doreen Avi, and this has been Let's Talk Showbiz. Remember to log on to myjoyonline.com, the entertainment page, for more of our stories. And also go on the Joy Entertainment page on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Get all the update there as well. On Twitter and Facebook is Doreen Avi, and on Instagram is Doreen_Avi. A very big thank you to you, Christopher Beverly, and of course, Nicholas. We are back here same time here on the Joy News channel. Have a great evening.